Alrighty, folks, so I'm so glad to be making a video finally. Again, I have got some new technology, so it might take me a little bit of time to work through it, so please bear with me with the tech issues that I might have throughout this. But I am excited to get to talk about triangles. This is one of my favorite units. So to start off, I have two different kinds of triangles here, okay? And they are both, although different, gonna have the same properties. So if you look at this triangle here on the left, I have a nice 90-degree angle, okay? I have this nice right angle, so we call it a right triangle, and then I have two acute angles that are the same measure. Over on the right, I have two acute angles here. They look a little different, and then this one looks like maybe an obtuse angle at the top. Regardless of what kind of angles you have in your triangle, all triangles follow the same rule that says angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 are always going to equal 180 degrees. This is going to be like our key fact that we get to use that helps us do everything else with triangles. So whenever you add up one angle plus another angle plus another angle, they will always equal 180, which we know is our straight line, okay? So we're going to use that to solve for some missing angles. So I always like to start off by writing angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 equals 180 degrees. Because I have this written, it's going to allow me to fill in my pieces. Now what's nice is that it doesn't matter what angle I put where, so long as all three angles show up. So my first angle I'm going to use is 37 plus my second angle they give me is 63. And then my final angle I don't have, it's what we're trying to find, is angle measure U, okay? And we know they're all going to equal to 180 degrees. So now what I can do is I can work to solve to get U by itself. I am going to start by doing a little bit of subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 37 on both sides of my equation in the hopes that eventually I'll get U by itself. 37 minus 37 is going to cancel out. So I am going to be left with 63 plus U is equal to 180 minus 37, which is 143. Okay? So now I have part of an expression. I want to keep going to get U by itself. I'm going to subtract my 63 now on both sides of my equal sign. 63 minus 63 is going to cancel out, so I'm left with U is equal to 143 minus 63 is going to give me 80. So my answer is 80 degrees. Now I want to make sure to check my work. It's important that I check my work. So to check my work, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my rule that I just sort of focused on that allowed me to solve in the first place, which says that in theory all my angles should add up to 180. So I'm going to write my angle measures 37 plus 63 plus our new angle measure is 80 equals 180. Now what this is saying is that there are two parts of my equation, two sides of my equal sign, and I want to make sure that whatever's happening on the left is in fact equal to whatever's happening on the right. So I'm going to do some combining. Well, I know 37 plus 63, 30 plus 60 is 90, 7 plus 3 is 10, so 90 plus 10 is 100. 100 plus 80 equals 180. Well, 100 plus 80 is 180, which equals 180. Since that is in fact a true statement that 180 is equal to 180, I am good to go. That proves that my angle measure of 80 is correct. If for some reason I got an answer that wasn't true, like maybe it said 179 is equal to 180, well, that's not true, so I'd have to go back and redo my work. Okay? We're going to do another one where we solve for our missing angle, so I'm going to write out again angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 all together is going to give me 180 degrees, okay? I'm going to go in and plug in some angles. I'm going to plug in 118 plus 33 plus some unknown angle y is going to be equal to 180 degrees because they are 3 angles of a triangle. Going to start, instead of subtracting 2 different times, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to combine these 2 numbers that are both numbers without a variable. So I have 118 plus 33, which is going to give me 151 plus y equals 180. I want to get y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 151 on both sides of my equation. That 151 minus 151 is going to cancel out, and I'm left with y is equal to 180 minus 51 is going to be 29 degrees. So my y value is 29 degrees. Okay, then I'm going to go through and check my work. Okay, I got 118 plus 33 plus 29 equals 180. If I do 33 plus 29, I get 62, which equals 180 when combined with 118. Let's keep going on my checking. So I got 180 equals 180. That is in fact true. Yay, happy face. We are good to go. Okay, what that tells me is that this missing angle here is equal to 29 degrees. All right, now, sometimes we're going to have situations where we do not have all the angle measures just written as things. Sometimes what we want to find is this variable. Sometimes there's some other factor that we're trying to figure out, not just the whole angle measure, but that specific piece. But I can still use my same setup of angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 equals 180. I'm going to plug in these same things. So I got 60 degrees plus 60 degrees plus negative 12 plus 9x equals 180. You might have noticed I didn't put the parentheses because we're not going to multiply anything times this whole piece here that's in parentheses. I can drop my parentheses. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine some of my like terms like I did before. You can also subtract to get 9x by itself. It is up to you what order. But our goal, remember, is to get x by itself. When I do 60 plus 60, I get 120. I still have my minus 12, and that's a plus sign. Plus 9x equals 180. I can combine my 120 and my 12. 120 minus 12 is going to give me, is going to give me 108. Plus 9x equals 180. Now I'm going to subtract 108 on both sides. Those 108s are going to cancel out, so I'm left with 9x is equal to 72. And lastly, to get x by itself, 9 and x are multiplying right now. The opposite of multiply is divide. So I'm going to divide by 9. 9 divided by 9 is just 1, so I'm left with 1x. 72 divided by 9 is 8. So our x value is equal to 8. That is not equal to my angle measure though. I need to plug 8 in for x to solve what that angle measure is. So I'm going to write out that angle measure, negative 12 plus 9 times 8. Negative 12 plus, that's going to be 72. 72 minus 12 is going to be equal to 60 degrees. So this angle measure here that we are solving for is 60 degrees. Now some of you might have made an observation. We have 60, 60, and 60. Whenever, if you know what two angles are, what you could do is instead of writing out the whole thing, you could solve to figure out what this missing angle is and then set up an easier equation using that. you could say 60 is equal to negative 12 plus 9x. There, instead of using all the pieces, we are just using our missing angle and the measure of that missing angle. And you can solve to get x, and you will get the same thing. Okay, if I solve it, well, I'm going to add 12 on both sides, add on 12 on both sides. That's going to get me 72 equals 9x. We've seen that before. That is going to give us x equals 8. So we get the same thing. If I want to go through and check my work, I can do that. I can say 60 plus 60 plus 60 does in fact equal, that'd be 120 plus 60 equals 180, or 180 equals 180, which is excellent. So we know that this works, okay? If this stuff in blue is confusing to you, forget about it, okay? Just keep our set up using our 3 angles. I will tell you now, that's what's going to be most beneficial, is our angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 is 180, because in some situations, you cannot find that missing angle. And I'll show you an example here. This is our last example. Well, I suppose you could find it here too. But I'm going to use our setup because that's what I think is most helpful in the long run. So I have angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 equals 180. Okay, I'm going to plug in the pieces that I have. So I have 25 plus 125. Whoops. Plus a minus 5x gives me 180. Okay, well, if I combine some like terms, I'm going to combine this. I get 150 plus minus 5x equals 180. I'm going to subtract 150 on both sides to get rid of that, because I'm trying to get my x by itself. So I am left with negative 5x and 30. Now I want to get x by itself. Right now, x and negative 5 are being multiplied. The opposite of multiply is divide. So I am going to divide by negative 5 on both sides. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is just 1. So I'm left with 1x, or x. 30 divided by negative 5 is negative 6. So I get negative 6. Now what I want to point out to you is that negative 6 is not our angle measure here. It is just the value of x. To find out what our actual angle measure is, we need to plug it in. So we're going to do negative 5, negative 6. When you multiply them, you get 30 degrees. Let's check our work. I have 25 plus 125 plus 30 is supposed to equal 180. 25 plus 125 is 150 plus 30 equals 180. 180 equals 180. You'll notice I work with 2 sides of my equal sign. This right side always stays the same because I don't have any changes. I'm only changing what's here, and I'm checking to make sure that what's on my left and what's on my right are in fact equal at the end. So I am good to go. If you would like additional examples, here is an additional example for finding that missing side length. Okay? You can pause it and work through it. And your answer for this one, okay, I don't have it written down on a note sheet right now, but your answer, if you are working on it by yourself and you want to check your work, is 50 degrees. Okay, so if you're working through it, your answer would be 50 degrees for right here. Another example that I have for you is here where I have that missing side length, or missing angle measure, sorry. You can solve through this independently as well, and you will find that your x is equal to 1. And so your angle measure is 31 degrees. Okay. And I will leave it there for you. Good thing to practice and ask any questions that you may have.